Imagine a little town called Greenfield. Greenfield was a happy place. It had a beautiful wide river that flowed all year long. The river was like the heart of the town, pumping life into everything around it. The fields near the river were bright green, full of tall corn and juicy tomatoes. Children would play by the riverbank, chasing frogs and skipping stones across the gentle water. The air was filled with the sweet smell of wet earth and blooming flowers. Birds sang in the tall, leafy trees that gave shade from the warm sun. Life was good, and water was everywhere. But then, something started to change very slowly. The rain stopped coming as often as it used to. At first, nobody worried too much. They thought, oh, it's just a dry spell. The rain will be back soon. But the weeks turned into months, and the sky stayed a bright, cloudless blue. The big, wide river started to shrink. It became a smaller, slower stream. The muddy banks, once hidden under the water, began to show. They cracked under the hot sun, looking like a giant puzzle with missing pieces. The happy sounds of the river grew quiet. After a full year with very little rain, Greenfield looked like a different place. The once green fields were now brown and dusty. The trees had lost their leaves, and their branches looked like bony fingers reaching up to the empty sky. The children didn't play by the river anymore. There were no frogs to chase and no water to skip stones on. The town was quiet, dusty, and thirsty, waiting for the rain that never came. So, what exactly is a drought? It sounds simple, right? It just means there is not enough water. But it's a little more scientific than that. A drought is a long period of time when an area gets much less rain than it normally does. When an area gets much less snow than it normally does. It's not just a few hot, sunny days or a dry week. A drought is a long-lasting condition. Think of it like this. Your body needs water every day. A drought is like the land becoming dehydrated. There are different kinds of droughts, and scientists like to put them into categories. First, there's a meteorological drought. It happens when there's a lack of precipitation. Rain, snow, sleet, hail. When the weather patterns change and less rain falls over a long time, it's a meteorological drought. It's the starting point for all other types of drought. Next up is an agricultural drought. This type of drought affects our farms and our food. It happens when there isn't enough moisture in the soil for crops to grow properly. The plants can't get the water they need from the soil through their roots. Droughts can happen because of nature's own powerful cycles. Our planet's weather is a very complex system. Sometimes that system changes for a while. One big natural cause is a change in ocean temperatures. You may have heard of El Niño, La Niña. These are not people. They are names for patterns of warmer water, cooler water in the Pacific. When ocean temperatures shift, they can change wind patterns and rain cloud tracks worldwide. Some places get huge floods, while others get no rain at all. Another cause is the position of high-pressure systems. Imagine a giant, invisible mountain of air over one area. It pushes down on the air below, making the air warm up and dry out. That can block storms and rain clouds. Nature isn't the only one to blame for droughts. Human activities can also cause droughts or make them much, much worse. One of the biggest ways we contribute is by using too much water. Think about all the water we use every day. Our world population is growing, and so is our demand for water. We take huge amounts of water from rivers, lakes, and underground aquifers. If we take water out faster than nature can put it back with rain and snow, we will eventually run out. This is like spending money from your bank account faster than you can earn it. Another major human cause is something called deforestation. That's a big word for cutting down forests. Trees are a very important part of the water cycle. Their roots hold water in the soil, keeping it from drying out too quickly. When a drought takes hold, the environment is, honestly, the first to feel its effects. The most obvious change happens to the soil. Without rain, the top layer of soil becomes dry, dusty, and hard. When the wind blows, it can easily pick up this dry topsoil and carry it away in huge dust storms. Plants are the next victims. They need water to make their food through photosynthesis and to stand up straight. When the soil is dry, their roots just cannot find any water to drink. At first, plants will wilt, which means their leaves and stems will droop. If the drought continues, they will turn brown and die. When many trees in a forest die, it creates a lot of dry wood, which can become fuel for massive wildfires that are honestly very hard to stop. The lack of rain also has a huge impact on our rivers, lakes, and wetlands. As we saw in our story about Greenfield, rivers shrink and can even dry up completely. Lake levels drop, showing shorelines that haven't been seen in years. This is a disaster for the animals that live in these watery homes. Fish are left with nowhere to swim, and many die as their ponds and streams vanish. Animals on land suffer greatly during a drought too. Many animals get the water they need from the plants they eat, or from drinking at water holes. Droughts are not just an environmental problem. They are a serious human problem that affects every part of our lives. The most direct impact is on farming and our food supply. Farmers depend on predictable rainfall or a steady supply of irrigation water to grow their crops. During a drought, their fields dry up and their crops fail. This means farmers lose their income and some may even lose their farms. There is less food available for everyone. When the supply of food like wheat, corn, vegetables goes down, prices in the grocery store go up. Our cities and towns also feel the squeeze. Most cities get their water from large reservoirs, big man-made lakes that store river and rainfall. During a drought, reservoir levels can get dangerously low. City officials put rules in place called water restrictions. You might only be allowed to water your lawn on certain days, or be asked to take shorter showers. In severe droughts, water pressure may be lowered or water turned off for hours each day. Droughts hit the economy beyond farming. Many industries need water to operate. Power plants use huge amounts of water for cooling. Even transportation is affected. Rivers move goods on barges. When water levels fall, rivers become too shallow for barges, disrupting supply chains. The social impact can be severe, especially in struggling regions. Water is essential for health and sanitation. When water is scarce, staying clean is harder and diseases can spread more easily. People may walk many miles to find small amounts of clean water. In extreme cases, whole communities leave their homes in search of water and opportunity. To understand how serious droughts can be, we can look at some famous examples from history. One of the most well-known droughts in the United States was the Dust Bowl in the 1930s. This was a terrible decade-long drought that affected the Great Plains region. Years of poor farming practices had damaged the topsoil. When the drought came, this created enormous black dust storms that people called black blizzards. Another significant drought happened more recently in Cape Town, South Africa. Between 2015 and 2018, the city experienced a severe water shortage after 3 years of very poor rainfall. The city was facing something they called Day Zero. This was the day they would have to turn off the water taps for most homes and businesses. It was a terrifying possibility for a major modern city. The good news is that we are not helpless against droughts. There are many things we can do to prepare for them and reduce their impact. It all starts with being smart about how we use water. At home, we can all help by doing simple things like fixing leaky faucets, taking shorter showers, and turning off the water when we brush our teeth. In farming, new methods like drip irrigation are helping a lot. Science and technology are also giving us new tools to fight drought. Scientists are also developing new types of crops that are more resistant to drought. Another important strategy is to improve how we store and manage our water. This means building our reservoirs so they can hold as much water as possible during wet years to save for the dry years. As we have seen, a drought is much more than just a dry spell. It is a complex problem caused by both nature and human actions. We all live on one planet, and its water cycle connects us all. The challenge of drought is growing as our world's population gets bigger and our climate continues to change. We can expect droughts to become more frequent and more severe in many parts of the world. This is not a reason to be scared, but it is a reason to be smart and to act now. We cannot wait until the rivers run dry to start thinking about water conservation. We must make it a part of our everyday lives. Every single person has a role to play, and every drop of water we save helps to protect our shared future. The solutions are within our reach. Scientists, farmers, politicians, citizens. Ultimately, securing our water future is a team sport. The earth is our home, and it's the only one we've got. Taking care of its water is one of the most important jobs we have. By understanding why droughts happen, and by taking action to prepare for them, we can ensure that there will be enough clean water for everyone for generations to come. Let's get to work.